I am super excited for this video because today we are going to finally complete the 3rd gen conversion of my 2010 Tacoma. We got a 3rd gen tailgate. Let's see how this fits. At first glance, this tailgate isn't just gonna bolt into place. It's like 75% the way there, but let me show you. This bracket here and its mount looks identical. How it mounts and how that bolts to the tailgate looks exactly the same. But on this side, it's a similar story on the stock side, except there's a cutout in the back of it so it'll slot over. The tailgate side on the 3rd gen is different. It looks like this is the side that's supposed to slot over. But it's the same story on the mounting hardware. Look how similar this bracket is to this one. So it might just be a case of pull the hardware off this one, pull the hardware off this one, move the hardware from the 2nd gen to the 3rd gen, and maybe it'll bolt up. Remember how in the last video I was talking about how there is a void in between the top of the fiberglass and the top of the box side? And that my theory is that maybe the 3rd gens just have taller box sides? I think that's confirmed because look at the size of these tailgates. The 3rd gen is visibly, it's thicker and it looks taller. Measuring at 20 inches to the bottom. 2nd gen one is 18. 3rd gens have taller box sides. Now you know. Interesting. We're not quite as lucky as I'd hoped. There is some differences here. The way they mostly look are the same, and the way they mostly mount is the same with 2 bolts on the side, 1 bolt underneath. But if we lay it over top, you can see that bolt on the bottom is further to the right, and on the 3rd gen bracket, the holes on the side are further up. So slight modification required. I've come up with a plan. This is the original 2nd gen tailgate pivot dealio. This is the 3rd gen one. This is a piece of Schedule 40 that happens to be the same diameter as the original hoopty-doopty thing there. I was thinking of just cutting this off and welding it onto here. This guy's kinda in hurtin' shape. You can see it's all bent out of shape here. Or if I just use a new piece of tube, cut the same notch in it and weld her to that guy, problem solved. Let's see how it fits. Hey, that fit perfect. The top of the tailgate is dang near flush with the fiberglass. This body line is perfect. That body line's perfect. This side I need to adjust it up just a hair to make this guy line up, but that's so cool. Uh-oh. Shoot! Because this tailgate is so much wider and bows out in the middle, it hits the bumper. Of course, why wouldn't it just fit? We gotta cut this thing up now. Today, we are fixing this bumper because what's the point in having a tailgate if you can't use the thing? I'm hoping that all I need to do is cut the bumper here and cut the bumper over here and drop this tube down a bit and come into this tube. I think it might work because if you look at this tailgate, it bows like crazy in the middle. And I think the edges might clear. So we'll start by cutting it up and we'll know real quick whether that plan is gonna work or not. Well, I had to chop a lot out of this bumper, but I think the tailgate will fit now. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah, there is no more contact. It's real close in here, but it's not touching. Now, essentially, to tie it all together, I think I'm just gonna put a piece of tube down here and drop that lower tube down. So it'll kind of like step down and over. That's kind of just like the cleanest way I can think of to tie all this together without completely redoing the whole bumper. I decided that I wanted to keep this little center piece of tube with the DG logo in it, primarily because I've already got these holes in the bottom that are threaded so that this thing mounts right to the trailer hitch on this Tacoma. I cut a couple pieces of tube, I welded a couple pieces of tube, and I notched a couple pieces of tube, and now that guy should just drop right down there where the center section used to be. Test it out. There we go. I don't think it looks too bad. I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's definitely not how this bumper was originally designed, but it gives us a working tailgate, which is important. Coming into this project, I really wasn't sure about how it would look. Cutting it, sectioning it down, welding it back in. I think it turned out all right. Let's throw the tailgate back on, then we'll get the full picture of what the tail end of this Tacoma looks like. I don't love this massive gap in here, but like, what do you do? Just kind of live with it. When I pull everything apart, because obviously the box sides have to come back off to page, the tailgate, everything's got to come apart. Pull the bumper off too so I can weld around the backs of everything. And while I'm at it, cap off the tubes here and here, just because it'll look a little bit better. It'll stop water and snow from getting in here and rusting from the inside out. And it'll probably paint the bumper too. Another day, we got a fresh delivery of 1.75 tube, and now we're back to work where we left off in last week's video. And it's not quite as easy as I was thinking. So you guys know this headache rack thing is actually built to tie in a rooftop tent mount. This crossbar here is actually dictating the height that the rooftop tent is going to sit on. From that, the plan was to send a couple tubes, bam, straight to the back, bam, straight to the back, and tie in down here somewhere. And my idea was kind of to build bed stiffeners out of it and get two birds stoned at once, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. If I brought a tube straight up here, it would end up being way off center from this tube here, and it won't look very good. So you might be thinking, well, why don't I just kick it over on an angle a bit? And the problem with that is, even if I put a tube here and put it at an angle kind of to match the angle on that guy, look at this box side here. It kicks out here towards the tailgate, right where I'd like that tube to be, so that's not gonna work either. And after doing some thinking, I think I've come up with a solution that won't look too bad, but I'm just gonna have to start laying some tube and see how it looks to really get the whole idea. Instead of putting the tube back in here, I think I'm going to move it so that it's out here near the edge of the tailgate. And we're gonna come straight up with it. I'm gonna use my bender and put a bend on it, and that bend is gonna wrap over and line up with this point right here, where we'll send a tube straight back. So I got that end piece bent and I gave it way more slack than it needed because I had no idea where quite exactly in space everything was gonna lie. So I cut up another piece of tube to the length of the bed, propped it in there in place, lined it up on the corner there, and then kind of worked my way back. I wanted to get the bend right, and then I'll trim it at the bottom to fit. So we want this bend to end perfectly on the bottom of this tube here. So we need to bend it just a little bit more. That's better. So if I notch this guy here and cut the bottom, this guy should fit perfectly right where I want it. And now that I've got most of the tube work in place, it's starting to look less and less tacky. And check this out. When I was setting up these bars here, I just had just a loose piece of quarter hanging out underneath it so that I can get my height, because I knew that 1/4 inch was eventually what I was going to use to mount this to this. And conveniently, there's already a hole here that was used to mount these little hooks to the corner of the bed. And when digging through my scrap, I found these brackets, which turns out I can wedge that guy under there, and then bam! I've already got the perfect hole drilled in these pieces so that I can now bolt this corner down. And I just have to weld that guy around, and then the bed cage thing will officially be mounted in all 4 corners. Pretty easy peasy. Now that it's all together, I kind of like the looks of these bends coming whoop over the edge of the bed, because it's, I don't know, different. And I think with the tent loaded on it and it all painted, it'll all come together and look great. I think as it sits, it's gonna do its job great. I ended up adding 2 more bars up here in the headache rack to match the window split, just to kind of style it up a little bit more. But at this point, this is all the time I have for this video. This video should have gone up like 2-3 hours ago, so I gotta go inside, finish editing all this stuff I did the last couple of days, and get it out to you guys. So yeah, that's it. Anyways guys, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button, and hey, consider subscribing. I upload weekly Toyota, building, wheeling, and off-roading content. Anyways, we'll catch you next week. Peace.